What's up, guys? Today I'm just going to have a look at just a couple of opponents that I think Francis Ngannou should consider maybe fighting next. So I just want to have a look at what he should be doing next, potential opponents, and what's his next step. I may just go over AJ as well and what I think he may do as well. But I do want to just focus on Ngannou. And as we all know, Ngannou's fight with Anthony Joshua, that was on the 8th of March, I believe, so it was a few days ago. Ngannou got stopped viciously by Anthony Joshua. He was dropped multiple times in that fight. Two times he was put on his ass two times, and then after that, unfortunately, he got knocked out badly. And as I was just showing you that the photo on the screen, he looked bewildered. He didn't know where he was. Joshua destroyed him. Joshua left no stone unturned. If you even look at him in this photo, he's just the guy's face just looked like he was. It looks like he's shocked, almost like he's never expected what happened. Like when a guy's never been knocked down in his life, let alone knocked out, that's the sort of reaction face you get. So when AJ dropped him, I think this is the first or second time, is almost a shock on his face. So and you can see there, it just looks shocked. But as we know, guys, AJ did what he needed to do. He put a boxing class on him, and he just knocked him out. Pure technique. Francis could not compete at that level. We saw that with Joshua. Now, don't get me wrong, with the Ngannou's fight with Tyson Fury, is a totally different story in that fight. He actually gave Fury a very good fight. It's quite competitive. But then obviously because of that, people thought, you know what, if he's done that to Fury, he must be able to do something to AJ. But AJ was possessed. AJ was not going to let that happen. So AJ just put him on his ass and knocked him out, and put a full stop on that. So let's have a look at who Ngannou could be fighting next. Now, there's a couple of options for Ngannou. Now, as you know, he's an MMA fighter. He's obviously a UFC champion. Obviously, he was the reigning defending champion in the UFC. He's fought a lot of people. Alistair Overeem is one of the top fighters at the time. Stipe Miocic was you could say the greatest of all time MMA heavyweights. He lost to him the first time, came back and he destroyed him. Now he's fought a lot of other opponents. Cyril Gane, which again was a good is a good fighter, very very technical on his feet, and Ngannou has a win over all these. Now obviously Ngannou left the UFC to pursue boxing, and he made a deal with the PFL, which is another organization. Now in my opinion, in terms of what Francis Ngannou should do, now AJ did say to Ngannou after the fight to stay in the fight, to stay in boxing. Now, again, Ngannou has said himself he probably will do both. But what I'm going to just do is I'm going to give you what I think Francis Ngannou should do now. Don't get me wrong. MMA is always there for Ngannou. He's not in the UFC at the moment. He doesn't have a contract with them. So the only fighters he's going to get is fighters from the PFL. Yeah, so the current champion is this guy here. I think he had a fight with Ryan Bader recently. He's quite tall, this geezer. He's quite a big guy. And he won against Ryan Bader. So this is the current PFL champion. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've never heard of him. I'm just going to be honest. I don't watch the PFL as much as the UFC and Bellator. And I know the PFL have taken over Bellator right now, but I've never heard of this guy, if I'm being honest with you. So he's obviously the current champion. So this is one of the options that Francis Ngannou has in his current contract with the PFL, Renan Ferreira. I'll have a look at what his record is and stuff, but guys, I'll be honest with you, I've never heard of the guy. So okay, fair play. He's lost a few times back in the day, 2016, disqualification, submission, and TKO punches. Since then, he's gone on a little bit of a run. The only name I can see that he's beaten is Ryan Bader, which is a name that I know. Other than that, I know who Maurice Green is. He used to be a UFC fighter. The rest of them, not too sure, being honest with you. So that's what Francis Ngannou has as an option, PFL fighter. Now, that's with PFL. The other option, I'd say, for Francis Ngannou is fighting a guy called John Jones. Now, John Jones is the current heavyweight champion of the UFC. For all of you guys who don't know, he's one of the greatest fighters of all time. He was the light heavyweight champion for a very long time. He moved up in weight class recently. He beat Cyril Gane. Actually destroyed Cyril Gane within, I think it was the first round. He submitted him, choked him out. And since then, he was actually scheduled to fight Stipe Miocic, which is the long reigning GOAT of MMA, you could say, greatest of all time. The only person that beat him, Stipe, recently was Francis Ngannou. Now, John Jones and Stipe was scheduled, I think it was earlier this year. Sorry, it was actually last year, December, I think it was, or November, around about there. But it got cancelled due to John Jones having a pectoral injury. So that was delayed. Now, they said they still want to make that. And I think it was actually November. But I think they want to make that in July or August of this year. Because John Jones is looking to get healed up. So they still want to make this fight now. This is more of a legend fight because, let's be honest, Stipe is quite old now. I think he's in his, close to his 40s now. Very, very up there in age. John Jones is also, he's not a spring chicken. I think John Jones is 35 now. 34, 35. So probably coming towards the end of his career. But this fight here is it's more of a status kind of thing. It's like two legends of the game. So I think this fight they'll let it happen. Francis Ngannou was actually scheduled to fight John Jones a very, very long time ago. Well, they tried to make it a few times. Now, for multiple reasons, it didn't happen. One was initially when they were trying to make it whilst John Jones was in the UFC. He was trying to get up in weight to heavyweight, and it took him 3 years to gain that weight. Anyway, long story short, he got to a point where the UFC finally wanted to make that fight. They offered Francis Ngannou that fight, I don't know, 5-10 million, and they decided not to do the Francis Ngannou decided the contract wasn't right for him to want to do the fight. He didn't have what he wanted. Obviously, he wanted to do boxing. UFC was not going to allow that. And Francis Ngannou walked away from the UFC. Now, this fight is still very, very anticipated. A lot of people would still want to watch this fight, Francis Ngannou versus John Jones in MMA. As I said, John Jones is the current heavyweight champion. Now, he does have an injury at the moment. You do have someone in the interim. You have an interim champion as well, as in Tom Aspinall. There is a lot of arguments regarding is Tom Aspinall actually the real champion, because he's actually fighting real contenders right now. John Jones is holding up the division, but I'm not going to get into that in this one. But anyway, so that's one option for Francis. He could fight John Jones. Now, he'd have to go back to the UFC, or maybe they could do some sort of deal, but he would not make as much money. I'm going to be honest with you, even with this fight here, he wouldn't make as much money as he just made against Joshua. Now, he has lost in boxing, so his pay cut is going to go down a lot. It's not going to be 20 million anymore. But Joshua advised him after the fight. I'll see if I can find a clip. He advised him to stay in boxing.
Beat a lot of people. Don't leave boxing. No, I will not. Don't leave. Do it. Don't leave boxing, you know. These guys are the truth. Next Tyson.
As you can see, he said to stay in boxing. And my opinion, what Francis should do now, let's be honest, look, as much as I like to see him in MMA, and as much as I would want to see him fight John Jones, but I just think right now John Jones is at his later stage of his career. The guy's 35, 36 now, around about that age, 35, mid-30s now. And don't get me wrong, it'd be a good fight to watch, but I think it's just, maybe if it was 1 or 2 years ago, it'd have been a bit more interesting. Right now, I don't even think I want to see Francis Ngannou in MMA at the moment. I still want to see what he can do in boxing now. With the AJ knockout, don't get me wrong. AJ taught Francis Ngannou a lesson, a severe lesson. A very, very, very severe lesson now. A lesson he probably will never forget. Which, again, I know this video is about picking Francis Ngannou's opponent, but this knockout was probably one of the best things that could happen to Francis Ngannou. I'm not being honest, I'm just being honest. I think this is one of the best things that could have happened to Francis Ngannou if he wants to continue boxing. The reason I say this, guys, he had a similar situation happen to him in the UFC. That guy who Francis Ngannou beat to become the champion, which was Stipe, beat him the first time. Yeah, so again, guys, when he fought first time, I think this was I can't remember the date, man. This must have been in like 2017. 2017. It was like a while ago. He fought a guy called Stipe. This is when Francis was coming up, and he got dominated in that fight. Like, I'm talking, well, Stipe didn't knock him out, but in terms of what he did to him in MMA wise, he dominated him in all MMA aspects. Like, he took him down, even on the feet. He gave him a bit of trouble, but obviously Francis Ngannou's specialty was the stand-up. So Stipe mixed it in quite a lot. He mixed it in quite a lot. A lot of leg kicks, a lot of severe damage that happened to Ngannou in this fight. A lot of just didn't damage him, as in it didn't really hurt him, but it was just like a accumulation that got him tired. Then he was on top of him. It was a beat down. The best way to put it is it was a beat down. And Francis had that for 5 rounds. This was because his wrestling was very underdeveloped. Francis is known for his knockouts, really. His ground game was not developed at this time. And literally, man, what it reminded me of, yeah, when this fight was over, it reminded me of the Joshua fight. So people think Francis Ngannou has never been in this position before where he's lost, like, almost, because I think he lost every single round in this fight. He lost almost every single round in this fight, guys. Yeah, so just look at like how he just look at his body movements. He's trying to. This was probably the biggest loss in MMA he had. But he learned so much from this, guys. He got outclassed in all areas. Got taken down, put on his back, punched, thrown on the floor. Just a mauling, guys. Just got mauled in every area. But yeah, and then obviously he lost that fight. But here's what he did. He went on a tear after that fight. He killed quite a lot of people, if I'm being honest, guys. So if you look at Francis Ngannou's record, MMA, after he lost to Stipe, he went on a tear, man. He went on an absolute tear. So after he lost to Stipe, which was back in 2018, he lost again after that, actually, to another guy called Derek Lewis. But that fight there, guys, if you go back and watch that fight, I'm telling you, it's a barn burner. No one threw any punches. And it was just like, it's like a points win, but it was one of the most boringest fights you'll see. But after that, he went on a tear, guys. He knocked out. He lost to one other guy. But after that other loss, he went on a tear of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Four. He fought 4 times after that. And then he got a shot again at Stipe, and he KO'd Stipe. And the way he KO'd Stipe, I'm telling you guys, is vicious. He outdid Stipe in all the things Stipe was trying to do him in. He outdone him in the wrestling. He outdone him in the striking. He outdone him even, you could say even Ngannou's cardio was better. His conditioning was better. His pacing was better. So Francis Ngannou learns from his defeat. So this is why I say, guys, this loss he has now to AJ, it shouldn't define Francis Ngannou. It shouldn't define him. We shouldn't say Francis Ngannou is a washed, he's a bum. Listen, guys, as I said, man, Joshua should have won that fight. Joshua did what he was supposed to do. Now, don't get me wrong, I give massive credit to AJ. AJ demolished him. AJ showed why boxing and MMA are 2 different sports. AJ held the honor of boxing up for the boxers here. Because I'm telling you now, if Ngannou beat AJ, I am telling you now, all these people that are defending AJ and saying no chance, they would have turned on AJ, they would have cussed him out, and it would have just been very bad. So let's be honest, the best outcome happened for everyone. Ngannou walks to the bank with 20 million in the bank. AJ makes 50. I don't think AJ does it for the money anyway. He's already loaded. But now Ngannou has been in this sort of position before in MMA. That face of bewilderment, guys. Just look at this face here. It's a face that's bewildered. And when he got knocked down, guys, you had a face of bewilderment. This face, guys, is a bewildered face. We've seen this before, guys, but just in a different sport. I think this is just a wake-up call to Francis. Now, what I want to say is if Francis Ngannou decides to stay in boxing, there's a few options he has. I personally want to see one fight in particular, and I think it makes a lot of sense. And they can build this up as well, and I can just imagine it would be a great fight. Now, who are his options? Let's have a look. Who are Ngannou's options in MMA? Yeah, sorry, in boxing. Now, there's only maybe 2 or 3 I'm gonna recommend, and I'm gonna tell you which one I wanna see. One, he can fight Wilder if he wants to. He can now go fight Wilder, because out of the 2 fighters he fought Tyson Fury, which is the lineal champion. Then he fought AJ, which is the third best heavyweight, guys. And AJ didn't mess about. AJ fights similar to Ngannou in terms of fundamentals. Obviously, his boxing technique and everything is way better than Ngannou in terms of the way they fight. They're gonna punch. They're not gonna really be too technical. Now, don't get me wrong, AJ is way more technical, but what I'm trying to say is it's probably the same type of style with AJ, and we just saw, if you get the same sort of style, same sort of characteristics, but you get the same sort of style, you get the same sort of character, same sort of attributes almost, and you put a professional high level boxer, same sort of power, you could say, because AJ has got a lot of power. People will write that off. And then you got Ngannou, who's got a lot of power as well. He's got a good chin. But if you put a high level boxer against a high level MMA guy who has similar sort of attributes, we've seen the high level boxer is going to always, well, couldn't say always win, but AJ just put a full stop on that. So he's fought AJ. He's fought Fury. He had way more success with Fury. Now, it could just be a style thing, or it could just be, as people say, Fury had an off night. I think it's more of a style thing. I don't want to really say it was an off night, because look, man, you can't use an off night excuse in boxing. There's no excuse to have a bad performance. If you have a bad performance, that's on you. What all that matters is the result at the end of the day. It's the same with MMA. So I just think if it was a style matchup. Now, I personally think Ngannou should stay in boxing because of a couple of reasons. One, the money he's gonna get is crazy. He made, I think, 600,000 within his last UFC fight. That's dollars, and now he made 30 million in 2 fights. The last fight was 20 million. His last fight was more than all his fights in his entire career before boxing. That 20 million. So in my opinion, as much as I like it to see him in MMA, I think he needs to stay in boxing for a bit, because one, he's going to earn more money, and I'll be honest, I do think he can still win a lot of these heavyweight boxers. Now, do not even bother with the top 10. Personally, I don't think he should even bother with the top 10. He needs to drop it down to a level, I would say, in the top 30s. Start in the top 30s. If you want to push it, go in the top 50s. Hopefully get a win, and then you can set yourself up again to fight one of these big names. If he does that and he goes back and he puts a couple of years in boxing. Now, he's 37, so he doesn't have too long, but he still probably could make a run for that title. Not for the title, sorry, but he could still probably make a run and keep a good name. He'll get paid way more. And I think I want to see more in boxing for some reason. I don't think people should write him off because of the AJ loss. He should go back to the UFC. I don't think so, guys. I think he would still do well against some people. So Wilder's one. Now, another one people mention is Dillian White. That could be a potential opponent, because Dillian White recently got cleared as well for a drug test, which we failed when he was fighting AJ. It turns out he's cleared for that, so that could be a good fight. But listen, man, I don't think he should fight Dillian White as well. It's not that I don't think he can do well against him. I just don't want him to fight anyone that's too high level right now, because we've seen two things now. We've seen him, in my opinion, beat Tyson Fury. Very, very close fight. In my opinion, he beat him. Then we've seen him just get knocked out by Anthony Joshua, like clean. And we've never seen that before. We've never even seen the guy get wobbled. He got dropped twice and then knocked out. So right now, it'd be stupid for him to fight someone like Wilder. Or it just wouldn't. It's like this. If he fights Wilder next, then what Francis Ngannou is doing is just cashing in. If he goes and gets a few wins again now, he can definitely probably earn more and make his confidence a little bit better as well. Because right now his confidence must be on the floor after getting knocked out like that. It's a stupid move to fight someone like Wilder or anyone. In my opinion, I don't think he should do that. That's just my opinion. Some people might say, nah, I want to see it. Fair play. Dillian White, guys, I'm not saying he couldn't beat Dillian White. I just think we haven't seen his full boxing skills. We need to see him develop a bit, man. We need to, because right now, what he's learned from AJ is going to give him a wake-up call. He did the same thing in UFC. It will give him a wake-up call. He needs to go back. He needs to get his mind right, and he needs to work on these areas where he just got exposed. Now, don't get me wrong, he probably might not be able to ever get back to that high level. But look, if he's going to stay in boxing, drop it down a notch, like a notch and a half. Like, as I said, go to the top 50 heavyweights. And now you might fight someone that no one knows, but get a few wins under your belt. Just take, like, I'm not saying take easy fights, but take fights where you, like, no one's gonna like all these boxers, Joshua, Fury, every professional boxer at the high level, they all went through that stage where they build themselves up, they build their confidence up. Ngannou never did that, man. They put him straight in with the big dogs and killers, and he did well against Fury. But obviously with AJ, AJ studied the guy and he saw all his holes, and it just got exploited, man. So I think he should stay in boxing. But guys, I'm gonna tell you who I think he should be fighting, man. The perfect fight. I think this fight would be great. I think this fight would sell like crazy, and I think they can build a story behind it, and I would love to see it. I think if he fights Derek Chisora, I would love to see Derek Chisora trying trash talk Ngannou, and I'll go as far as saying this, guys. And if he loses to Derek Chisora, I think he should quit boxing. I think he shouldn't fight in boxing. I would want to see it in that way, because Derek Chisora, guys, if you don't know who Derek Chisora is, so this is Derek Chisora, guys. Del Boy, as they call him. Derek Chisora. He's been a legend in the game for over the years, guys. He's fought like, he's quite old now. I think he is very, I think he's actually in his 40s. Is he? Let's just have a look. Derek Chisora. Derek Chisora is 40, yeah. So he's 40, but he's still fighting. I think he might have 1 or 2 more fights in him. And mainly doing it for the money, but yeah, so his record hasn't been the best like in recent days, but he does fight now mainly for money, if I'm being honest with you. He fights for money, man. But I think this fight would be perfect for Francis Ngannou, man. It would be a perfect fight. Like, I'll tell you a couple of reasons why I think Derek Chisora, and I'll tell you why they can build this fight up to be amazing. They can make this big, because Derek Chisora said a few things about Francis Ngannou which is very contradictory, and I didn't like it, to be honest with you. I didn't like what he said. I'll put the video up now of what he said. So
that's going to be the hardest fight of all his fights.
Out of all his career, Alexander Usyk, everyone, Ngannou is going to be the hardest fight.
Yes.
Why?
Because he has to prepare mentally of fighting this guy, yeah. And he's defending a lot. He's defending his honor, he's defending the boxing honor, you know, he's defending his coach's honor. Bro, it's gonna be hard, bro. It's not one of those fights you can walk in and fight and then win or lose. No. That fight, you see when Tyson lost that fight? He was not the same. He was not like, coming up, hyping up on T. No, he was not. It was tamed. So he has to come out and do a show. So it's the hardest fight, because if you lose to a brother boxer, it's accept, yeah. But if you lose now to a guy who's never had an amateur fight,
It's wild, man.
do you understand? Who's never had an amateur fight. And on top of that, you lose to a fight on a guy who came to Europe on a boat. Fuck.
See a guy you'd look to like to share the ring with that bit.
No, listen, Ngannou is what we call, how can I say? You know, you got Superman. Yeah. Ngannou is our African Superman. Yeah, put it so, because everything he's done in his life, it's always been set to fail. Do you understand?
Incredible.
Yeah, do you understand? So he's the African Superman. Do you understand? That is, like, can't be
bigger than that.
He can't. He's the African Superman. You know, he's in Hollywood. You know, he's in Saudi. You know, he's in boxing. He was in UFC. He is what everybody was trying to do, but he's just doing it humbly and gradually. You understand? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, you can't take credit to that. You can't take anything away from a man like that. Yeah. And then, so that's what I'm trying to say to you. AJ is got the hardest fight of his life.
Oh, yeah, so as I said, guys, if you watch that video, you can see in that video how Derek's bigging him up about being the African Superman. He was saying it's going to be AJ's hardest fight, this and that, which is fair. Like, it probably would have been. A lot of people thought it would be a hard fight with AJ, so, but AJ obviously demolished him. But what I didn't like, guys, is I saw an interview recently, and just look at the difference, and how Derek Chisora is acting. how he's acting after he got knocked out. So this is Derek Chisora now, just after the AJ fight when he gets asked. So I'll play that for you as well.
What do you think Ngannou does now after those 2 fights?
Go back to UFC. I'm thinking Ronaldo was a gimmick. That's it. Yes, a great rock fighter on the ground and everything, but now find out who he is. He's done.
All right, Del, thank you very much, mate.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you,
bro.
Derek just literally dismissed Francis Ngannou. He says, we found out who he is. Go back to MMA. You're done. But before that fight, guys, he was bigging him up. Look how much stuff he was saying in that video I just showed you. So I don't like that, guys. I really don't. And I'll be honest with you. I think Francis Ngannou could beat Derek Chisora. Actually, I think I'd give him a good chance to beat Derek Chisora. Derek Chisora's age. He's in his 40s now. Don't get me wrong, Ngannou's 37. He's no spring chicken himself, but I just think it'd be an entertaining fight. And guess what? You could build this fight up as Derek Chisora could trash talk Ngannou the whole time and being like, look, Ngannou, it could be one of these guys. If he loses to Derek Chisora, he should quit boxing and he should go back to MMA. But if he beats Derek Chisora, he should stay in boxing. I think this is a perfect boxing fighter for someone like Francis Ngannou, just to see what he's about. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Derek Chisora's boxing skills are probably better than Francis Ngannou's. He's a fighter that comes forward a lot. He doesn't stay back. He puts pressure on his opponents. Now, he's been knocked out a few times. Dillian White has knocked him out. I think Joseph Parker dropped him. I don't think he knocked him out, but he has been susceptible to the knockout. So if Ngannou wants experience and he wants to build his rounds, this would be the perfect opponent, because Derek Chisora has knocked a few people out, but he doesn't get a lot of knockouts. So I don't think his power is on anywhere near the same level as AJ. And to be honest, I think Francis Ngannou, I'm not going to say he can knock him out, but it's a good fight. And they could build this up. They can make it crazy. If I was Derek Chisora, I would be screaming for this fight, guys. Derek Chisora has just missed out on a payday. Think about it, guys. He's 40, yeah. Now, I don't know if Derek Chisora doesn't want to fight him or for whatever, but Derek Chisora has missed out on a payday. Right now, Derek Chisora should be screaming Francis Ngannou's name. But maybe there is some fear there that he doesn't want to fight Ngannou, because there is that still danger side to Ngannou. I know AJ's dealt with him, but listen, if you really want to prove that he doesn't belong in boxing at all, then give him someone like Derek Chisora. Now, I know some people are going to say, hang on, Derek Chisora is still a little bit too good. I don't know where Derek Chisora ranks right now. Top 100 heavyweights. And I want to see where Derek Chisora is on this list. So if you take it down to top 10, you got Dillian White there. I still think that's too much right now for Francis Ngannou. Don't get me wrong. I think Francis Ngannou could beat Dillian White, but not after that AJ loss. That loss to AJ, it's one of those where, look, man, you're an MMA fighter, yeah? Your confidence is going to be all on the floor now. If you want to stay in boxing, do not fight Dillian White, man. Because if somehow Dillian White does that to you, your career is over. Like, people are not gonna want to watch you fight anymore. Don't fight Dillian White. Drop it down. So if we drop it down, even to the top 20 now, still don't see anyone here. Well, he could definitely fight someone in the top 20. Deontay Wilder's gone all the way down to number 23. Now that could be a good fight. Don't get me wrong, because Deontay Wilder's a puncher as well. But again, he does have that dynamite power. And if he just knocks Francis Ngannou out, Francis Ngannou will be finished at that stage. Guys, I don't even know where Derek Chisora is on this list, man. Oh, there he is. Honestly, guys, I think it's perfect. Derek Chisora is ranked 87. So, look, if he wants to start down here, Francis Ngannou, if he wants to start in the top, I think the way Francis Ngannou goes now, yeah, he fights someone like Derek Chisora. Now, if he gets a win over Derek Chisora, if you beat Derek Chisora, now you can take this list a lot higher, because you build some credibility again. You know what? Because of his name and everything he's done, he could probably go straight back into the top 50. And being honest with it, guys, I honestly think, yeah, you could take another fight like someone like Joy Joyce or someone. But look, you fight Derek Chisora, yeah? And if you beat Derek Chisora, you fight Wilder. You fight Deontay Wilder. And that's it, guys. If he beats Deontay Wilder, then maybe fight Fury again. don't get me wrong, there's other ways to do it. Like, there's other ways to do it. You could fight Chisora, then he could fight someone a little bit higher, then maybe someone a little bit higher, and then work his way to Wilder. That's another route as well, guys. There's a lot of names here that I don't even know, guys. So find someone whose record is, I don't know, guys, just a bit iffy. Gives him a chance at least. It's very, very interesting. But again, guys, that's just my take on who I think Ngannou should be fighting next. I do think it should be Delbo Chisora. I just think that would be like, people find that very entertaining, man. Chisora is an entertaining guy. Now, he has said before the fight, he was like, I don't want to fight him, but I think Chisora is missing out big time, man. But yeah, that's just going to be my video for today, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.